Dear students, welcome to the detailed solution of the quantitative aptitude session of CUET. So here, this session, it's comparatively easier than the previous one. Here we can consider the easiest and quick solutions of each and every questions here. So whenever we are considering the solutions of each question, you have to create a clear foundation about the aptitude part or basic mathematical concepts for most of the questions. And how we can trickyly or approach the questions in a tricky way, that I will explain here. So whenever you will face the similar type of questions in your further exams, you have to replicate that tricky and the smart method for finding the solutions of most of the questions. Here we can consider our first question, the sum of first 50 even natural numbers. So just recall the result to find out the sum of first 50 even natural numbers. Sum of first n even numbers, even natural numbers. Sum of first n even natural numbers. So what's the result here? So that is simply n into n plus 1. N into n plus 1. This is a result for finding the sum of first n even natural numbers. Here we have to find out the sum of first 50 even natural numbers. So in our question, so here we can easily find out sum of first. So it's very important. We are going to find out the first certain number of natural numbers or even numbers, odd numbers like that. Here, first 50 even natural numbers. First 50 even natural numbers. So how we can apply it? This is n into n plus 1. Just multiply it together. While considering this multiplication, first we just put a 0. Then 5 into 1, that is 5. 5 into 5, that is 25. So we have the answer, that is 2550. So easily we got the answer. So then go to the second question. If the product of three consecutive integers is 720, then their sum is. Three consecutive integers, whenever we'll get the questions like there's three consecutive integers, how we have to start our assumptions, algebraically how we can assume those three consecutive integers. So the smart way of that assumption is you just consider the middle number, that is x. So which will be the immediately preceding number, because we are dealing with three consecutive natural numbers, integers, not mandatorily be natural numbers, here integers. So its preceding number is x minus 1. Then what about its succeeding number, that is x plus 1. So here it is given that the product of these three numbers is 720. So that is x minus 1 into x plus 1, that is equal to 720. Here we know that the identity x minus 1 into x plus 1, that is equal to x square minus 1. Then into this x, this is equal to 720. If we are multiplying this one, here we will get a cubic equation like this, x cube minus x equal to 720. X cube minus x equal to 720. Do you know the method to find out the solutions of such a cubic equation? If you don't know, here we are considering the logical, numerical wise approach. Anyway, you just consider this is x cube. Think about a perfect cube in this range. Here it is given that this x cube, so that is definitely greater than 720. Think about such a perfect cube. Which perfect cube is immediately greater than 720? There we are connecting or converting this testing point to your numerical proficiency. So you just recall from the list of perfect cubes, which cube that is immediately greater than 720. We know that that is 9 cube. What is 9 cube? 9 cube is equal to 729. So we are testing whether this value x equal to 9 is a suitable conclusion. So here we are considering if x equal to 9, then x cube minus x. So that is simply 9 cube minus 9. So which is equal to 729 minus 9, that is 720. Yeah, it's matching. So we reach the conclusion that the suitable value of x, therefore x equal to 9. If x equal to 9, this is our assumption. So these are the three numbers. If x equal to 9, therefore the three numbers, so our three numbers, three integers. So middle number is 9, its preceding is 8, succeeding is 10. Sum of these numbers, that is the sum of 8, 9 and 10. So that's equal to 27. So here the answer is option 1. This is a way to reach the conclusion of such a number. But here we have some other logical assumptions. From the options, we can make a conclusion. So how we can find the answer from the options instead of doing the algebraic operations like this? So that's a very simple trick. We just consider. Given options are sum of three consecutive integers. If sum of three consecutive integers equal to 27, then definitely the middle number. So that is simply 27 by 3. So that's equal to 9. That's a basic condition about consecutive integers. Not only in the case of consecutive integers, all the arithmetic progression situations, we can apply this logic. If the observations or values are in an arithmetic progression, then its average is the median. Median means middlemost value. How to find out the average? Sum divided by number. So if the sum is 27, then the numbers are, middle number is 9, therefore its preceding 8, succeeding 10. What we have to do? We have to verify whether their product is equal to 720. So we are considering what will be the product of these values. So product of these values, that is 8 into 9 into 10. So which is equal to 720. Hence it verified our assumption is correct. So that means sum of these three numbers is equal to 27. So that's the option, from the option or work back method for finding the answer for similar type of questions. Consider the next question. Find the value of a if the number 4580603 is exactly divisible by 9 such that a is a single digit number. Just recall the concept. What is the divisibility rule for 9? So divisibility rule for 9. So what is the divisibility rule of 9? Sum of the digits is divisible by 9. Sum of the digits of the given number should divisible by 9. So here it is given that 451A603 is a multiple of 9. So just add up the digits of this number. This is 4 plus 5 plus 1 plus A plus 6 plus 0 plus 3. While adding these numbers, what we will get? 4 plus 5, 9, plus 1, 10, plus 6, 16, plus 3, 19. So this is nothing but 19 plus A. If we need to make this as a multiple of 9, thus 19 plus A is divisible by 9. Is divisible by 9. Is divisible by 9. Then which is the suitable value for A? So therefore, the possible value of A, that is equal to 8. Because we know that 19 plus 8 equal to 27. That's the immediately next multiple of 9. Therefore, the suitable value of A is 8. So while doing this type of a question, instead of doing the operations like this in a lengthy way, there's a concept clearing explanation. So instead, we just consider, we know the concept here. So therefore, 451A603. While observing the numbers from here, we know that this 4 and 5, it will make a 9. Just leave it because we are going to frame the 9s from here. This is 6 plus 3. That's another 1 9. Leave it. So here, this is 1 plus A. If you want to make it as another 1 9, what is the suitable value for A? That should be equal to 8. That's the easiest and the direct way for the conclusion of this type of a question. The next one. The population of a town increases from 6,500 to 7,475. What is the percentage of increase? So here, percentage of increase. So that's a direct approach. Here, what will be the increase? How to find out the increase? The increased amount minus initial value. All divided by this increased amount is what percentage of the initial sum. That's the concept here. This into 100%. This way we can find out it. So that's very simple. If we are considering the difference between these two values, this is 975 by 6,500 into 100. Then put the percent symbol. Here we can cancel these two zeros. What is this 975 by 65? So simplify it further. This 975 by 65, 975 by 65. We know that both these values are multiples of 5, right? So when we divide these values by 5, this is 1 time of 5, 45 is there. 9 times of 5, that's equal to 45. Then 25 is there. So 5 times of 5, 25. This is equal to 13. Then after that, we know that this lies in 1 time, that is 13. Then 65, which is equal to 15. So the answer is 15%. Got it? So the answer is 15%. So understand that concept of percentage variation. So here the percentage of increase, how we can find out it or define it, that's the difference or the increased quantity divided by initial value into 100%. In a class of 300 students, the number of boys is twice that of number of girls. If 50% of boys and 48% of girls appear in examination, how many students did not appear? First of all, we just consider what's the total strength here? 300 students. Here, what's the strength of boys and what about girls? It is given that the boys is twice that of girls, or boys and girls are in the ratio 2:1. Number of boys is twice that of girls. While observing this arrangement itself, you got the idea that this 2 is nothing but 200 and this 1 is 100. Why? Because the total strength of the class is 300. Then after that, we need to find out the students did not appear. So from here, we are considering what is the strength of the students who didn't appear. So that is didn't appear. Got it? So didn't appear strength, it is given that 50% of the boys appear. So if 50% of the boys appear, then the remaining 50% of the boys didn't appear. 48% of girls appear, therefore the remaining 52% of the girls did not appear the exam. So did not appear data we have to find out. Here this is 50% of 200. 50% of 200. So that's equal to 100. Here this is 52% of 100. So that is 52. We need to find out the total strength of the students who didn't appear the exam from this class. That's equal to 152. That's a simple way to reach the conclusion here. You have to understand the distribution of boys and girls from this class as per the given data. Then after that, we have to apply the percentage concepts there. Avinash spends 30% of his income on petrol for scooter, 1/4 of the remaining on house rent, and the balance on food. If he spends rupees 300 on petrol, then what is the expenditure on house rent? So in such a question here, if you're considering this one, you just consider 30% of the income on petrol and 1/4 of the remaining for house rent. So here we are considering 30%. So petrol, that is 30%. Suppose if you are starting from the total income, we are assuming the total income as 100 rupee. Then the amount he spent on petrol, that is 30 rupee. We are considering a unitary type of approach. Then what will be the remaining amount while we are considering what is the remaining? So remaining amount is 70 rupee. It's 1/4 for house rent. Therefore, what is the amount he spent for house rent? That is 1/4 of 70. Keep it like this way. You don't want to simplify it right now because we have the further step of operations. So otherwise, what will happen if you're keeping that in the form of decimals or much complicated fractional form, that will badly affect our time consumption rate for solving the questions. Therefore, keep it in that way itself. Then finally, we are considering if he spends rupees 300 on petrol, then what is the expenditure on house rent? So here we just consider this 30. So this 30 is rupees 300. Then what about this value? So that we have to find out. So if this 30 is rupees 300, like that we can develop the step. 30 is representing rupees 300. Then 70/4 is representing how much? Got it? Think about that's a unitary method. This 30 into 10 will be equal to 300. Therefore, the 70/4 into 10 will be equal to the answer. You just simplify it. This is 70/4 into 10. That's equal to 700/4. Or otherwise, we just simplify it. This is 2 times of 35. Then 2 we can cancel here. This is 2 times of 5. So this is nothing but 5 into 35. So that's equal to what will be the product here while we are considering these two quantities. While we are simplifying this one, 180 plus 25. So what it will become here, while we are simplifying this value, 150 plus 25, that's equal to 175. So like this way, we can do the operations through the unitary method. Understand this concept. We are starting our assumption from here, assuming income was 100, then petrol, that is 30% of that value. Then the remaining quantity is 1/4 spent for house rent. And we don't want to waste our time to find out the amount he spent on food because our questions purely depends upon the amount he spent on house rent. Through this way, we can find out what is the amount he spent on house rent. The simple interest on rupees 1,820 from March 9, 1994 to May 21, 1994 at 7.5% rate of interest. For finding this one, first we just consider what is the result for finding the simple interest. Simple interest, its result we know that is PNR by 100 or PRT by 100. Both the ways you learned this result. Here we have P. What is P? P is the principal amount, that is 1,820. And we have the rate also. Rate is 7.5%. But we don't have N. So first of all, we have to find out what is this N. How to find out it? For that purpose, we have the given data, period information, that is from March 9, 1994 to May 21. So if we are considering the period 1994, so we don't want to bother about the year here because it starts from March to May. So therefore, March 9. We know that how many days in total in March, in the month of March? There are 31 days. So already 9 days over. So remaining 22 days. 31 minus 9. So remaining 22 days. So we have to calculate it like that. There is a slight confusion may exist here. Suppose we just consider if he took the loan from March 9th, do we need to include that particular date also? So that means if you are starting counting from March 9 onwards, the number of days will become 23. But in this type of questions, you have to keep the values like this. That is directly 31 minus 9, that's equal to 22 days. And in the month of April. So how many days there? There are 30 days. Correct? And May. How many days there? So there are 31 days in total, but we have to close it up to 21 days. So while we are considering the total number of days, sum of these values, that's equal to 73 days. Correct? So this number or the period, so that's equal to, period is equal to 73 days, in the sense 73 by 365 years. Then we are applying this result. This is simple interest. So after that we can consider what is simple interest. Therefore simple interest is equal to 1820, that is 1820, into n, that means 73 by 365, r 7.5 by 100. So simplify it further. Here, after simplifying this one, here we know that this value, this is 5 times of 73, that will be equal to 365. And this value also we can simplify. This is 5 into 1.5. So we can simplify this one, 182 into 15 by 100. Simplify this value. So that is equal to 182. So while we are adding this one, 182. So into 50 or 1.5, we can consider like that. This is 1820. Then what is 0.5 of this value? That's equal to 910. So add up together, this is 2730, right? So this is 2730 divided by 100. What will be the final answer here? That is 27.30. So the answer is option 3. So understand the method to find out the period there. So here, as per the given data, we will get the number of days. Then we are converting it into the year format. So that's a very important part of this question whenever we are doing the operation. Suppose we just consider if any student put 23 days instead of 22 days here, don't be worried about the situation here. We know that if you need to do the simplification perfectly, instead of 74, you have to put 73 here. Slight variation is possible at that time of operations because in most of the questions, the options are not much complicated, they're much closed. Therefore, you can make a strong conclusion about the required step of operations or the values. Like that, as per the requirement, you can make slight changes here. Maybe the question is related to some other points of approach. Actually, if we are starting from this March 9 onwards, there we have 23 days. Understand that concept here. The next one, if a sum of money is doubles itself in 8 years at simple interest, the rate of percentage per annum. That's a very important simple interest related question. So I will explain the concepts in a simple way. Then after that, whenever we will get a similar type of question, you can apply these concepts directly. So the logic is very simple. Here we just consider, you just invested rupees 100. After 8 years, it's become 200. That's a simple logic. You invested rupees 100. After 8 years, it becomes two times. 2 times in the sense that's become 200 rupee. So what is the increase here? It's increased by rupees 100. So your investment is 100. Your interest is also 100. Means your net rate of interest is 100%. Why? Because your investment is equal to your interest. That means that such a situation, if the amount is twice the invested amount, if the final amount the twice the principal, then that means the net rate of interest is 100%. It occurred in 8 years. It occurred in 8 years. So here that 100%, that is net rate of simple interest, that is 100%. And here the period of investment, that is 8 years. Therefore, rate is very simple. This 100 by 8% per annum. What is 100 by 8? That's equal to 12.5% per annum. So here the answer is option 3, that is 12.5% per annum. So how we can generalize the concept here? Here, if you are considering this step of operations, if a sum becomes n times or k times the initial investment. So here, instead of doing like this, here we just consider. If you invest rupees P, it becomes n times. Then after, it becomes k times, we just consider. So it becomes k times in n years. So then we have to find out what will be the rate of interest. That is very simple. This k minus 1 into 100 divided by n. Apply this result for finding the rate of interest. K minus 1. So in our previous case, that was 2 times. Therefore, 2 minus 1 into 100 divided by 8. And another way we can consider, if you need to find out n, you just interchange these values. So if n is equal to k minus 1 to 100 divided by r, like that way also we can find the answer of such question. A sum of 12,000 deposited at compound interest becomes double after 5 years. After 20 years, it will become. Another very important question. So for considering this one, you just consider what's the result. Result for finding the amount under compound interest is P into 1 plus R by 100, the whole raised to 1. You just recall the results of each and every topic. That's very important. Based on that understanding only, you can develop a clear picture about the solutions of these questions, or how to solve, how to reach the final answer of these questions. So this is the basic results. In this question, it is given that when we put a certain sum, so after how many years? 5 years, it becomes doubled. So here it becomes 2p. Clear? It becomes doubled. That means if we are cancelling this one, so this is 1 plus r by 100, the whole raised to 5 is equal to 2. After 20 years, what will happen? So what you have to do, you just simply consider raised to 4 on both sides. Got it? Raised to 4 on both sides. So then what will be the left hand side? Then after this raised to 4 operation, this is 1 plus r by 100, the whole raised to, this is 5 into 4, that is 20. On right side, this is 2 raised to 4, that's equal to 16. Clear? So then put back the p's here. This is 16 into p. What happened here? What's the meaning of this expression? If you are considering the same rate of interest and the same principal amount, in 20 years, it becomes 16 times. In 20 years, it becomes 16 times. So that's the logic here. So what was principal here? Here the principal is 12,000. So if you are considering 16 times of 12,000, therefore our required principal, the required amount, that is 16 times of 12,000. It's easy to find out what is 16 into 12. We can do it by mind. I will help you. What is 10 times of 16? 10 times of 16, that is 160. What is 2 times of 16? That is 32. 160 plus 32, that is 192. Put 3 zeros here. So this is the required amount. Got it? So this is a tricky approach towards this type of question. So here we can generalize the concept, also understand that relationship properly. So in such a situation, in 5 years, it becomes 2 times. And we already found that in 20 years it becomes. So understand this point. This 20 is nothing but this is 5 into 4. 5 into 4. Therefore, on right side, how many times it will become? That is 2 raised to 4 times. So that's a logic we can directly apply. Suppose we just consider in 15 years. So it will become how many times? So here you have to understand this is 5 into 3, that is 15. No doubt this is 2 raised to 3 times and so on. So if it is 5n times 5n years, so it will become 2 raised to n times. So that's the logical pattern we can connect, or the relationship between this number of years or the period and the number of times the principal amounted to. So those concepts, that's a very tricky and important concept. If the selling price of an article is 4 by 3 times of its cost price, the profit percentage is. So this is a ratio-wise application of profit and loss. So for finding the profit or loss percentage based on this types of statement, how we can do here the selling price. So that is 4 by 3 times of cost price. First of all, you just simply write the step like this. Then after that, we have to arrange it in the ratio form. This is selling price by cost price. So that is 4 by 3. So keep it in your mind that always be the denominator as cost price, because if you need to compare or if you need to find out the profit or loss percentage, in all the situations we are keeping the denominator or the base of the operation as cost price. That means profit or loss percentage is purely based on cost price. So here the cost price is 3 and selling price is 4. We have to consider like this. So then obviously what is the profit here? So that is 1. That is profit. So that's a simple way of approach towards this question. So this is profit. This is profit. Then what about the profit percentage? Here the profit percentage is, profit is what percent of cost price. So that's the way to find out the profit percentage. Here it's a quite familiar value. What is 1 by 3? 1 by 3 into 100, that is equal to 33 and 1 by 3%. Therefore the answer is first option. You have to keep this value now in your mind whenever we are considering the percentage calculations. What is 1 by 3 into 100? That's equal to 33 and 1 by 3%. Another one that's also an easy one. A dealer who professes to selling goods at the cost price uses 900 gram weight for a kilogram, his gain percentage. Understand the situation here. So actually he's offering such a thing. He is selling the goods at the cost price itself. But he is doing a malpractice through the weight change. That means a simple concept you can develop. Actually, while we are considering the transaction of 1 kilogram of rice, what the quantity he is actually selling? He is selling only 900 gram. He is selling only 900 gram. So we are considering the situation or the general situation of the transaction of the sale of 1 kilogram of goods here. Suppose rice. In this case, we have to consider the commodity as rice. The seller is actually selling only 900 gram. What happened with this poor customer? He or she may misinterpret that. So he or she is receiving the exact 1 kilogram of product. So, and the customer already got offered. They can purchase the product at the cost price itself. The seller is offering like that. Therefore, this customer is spending, that is cost price of 1000 gram. Got it? So we are considering like that. Customer is paying cost price of 1000 gram. So we can make it in the form of our previous ratio type approach. Here I can write this is 9 SP, that is 10 CP. Rest all the things are common. We can avoid them. Then we can short this one in this form, 9 SP equal to 10 CP. Then what about selling price by cost price? So it's quite simple. This is 10 by 9. Is it easy? An interesting kind of approach also. Yeah, what is the profit here? So here profit is 1 out of 9 into 100. So that is profit percentage. Profit percentage, that is 1 by 9 into 100. So this much percentage. And it's also a quite familiar value. 1 by 9 into 100 percentage, that is equal to 11.11%. If you're not familiar with these values, what you have to do? You just simply divide 100 by 9. So this 1 time of 9. So remainder 1 here, 10, again 1 time of 9. Remainder 1 here, put point here, put 0 here. Again 1, this is 9, 1, 0, 1, and so on. We'll get the values like this. So like this way, we can simplify, divide, and find the answer. The next question. A merchant intends to offer a discount of 10%, but would like to maintain the current price. By what percentage should he increase the list price? So here, 3 basic parameters: cost price, selling price, and market price. First of all, understand the situation clearly. Suppose the marked price or the listed price. This marked price is same as list price. This is same as listed price or list price. Got it? Yes. So we are starting with marked price. So what is the percentage of discount he offered? That is 10%. So this discount applicable on marked price. So there is a 10% discount offered. So 10% of 100 is decreased to there. Therefore, the transaction made at rupees 90, or the selling price is 90. But would he like to maintain the current price of the transaction? That means the cost price is also 90. So what's the simple logic? So he offered a discount of 10%, even though he didn't make any profit or loss in the transaction. That's a tricky approaching style here. That's why he would like to maintain the current price. Maintain the current price in the sense, what was the actual cost of the product? He needs to return that same cost even after offering a discount of 10%. So that's a simple trick. So then, what is the markup percentage? Here, the percentage, by what percent should he increase the list price means, so this marked price is what percentage more than cost price. This marked price is what percentage more than cost price. So this variation is also called a markup percentage. Markup percentage. Here, markup percentage. That is simple. What is the difference between marked price and cost price? That is marked price minus cost price. Based on, from where we are constraining this variation from cost price. From cost price, what is the increment here? So therefore, we have to keep the denominator as cost price into 100. So this will be the answer. Here this is 10 rupee increased here based on 90 into 100. Now we are quite familiar of this value. What is 1 by 9? So that is 11.11%. Got it? 11.11%. Understand the assumption method and what actually expected from this type of an operation. And there are some other methods also possible. So here, one direct approaching style for these types of questions. I'll explain that one. Here, after offering a discount of D%, if a merchant made a profit of P%. So, after allowing a discount of D%, made a profit of P%, then we can frame a relationship between marked price and cost price. Marked price by cost price. Don't forget, this marked price is nothing but the listed price. This is 100 plus P divided by 100 minus D. So it's a very important relationship in such situation. In this case, we have to consider what is the profit percentage. In this case, the profit percentage is 0. Means actually he needs to keep the current price or maintain the current price, means there is not any profit or loss. Then what is the discount percentage here? That is 10%. Through this way, if you are applying this result, this is marked price by cost price, that is 100 plus 0 divided by 100 minus 10. 100 minus 10. So this is equal to 100 by 90 or 10 by 9. Then we can find out what is the markup percentage here. This is 1 out of 9. So that's equal to 11.11%. So here markup percentage, that is 1 by 9 into 100. So that is equal to 11.11%. So you can keep this result in your mind. With the help of this result also you can find out the answer. So next question. In a mixture of 180 liter, the ratio of milk and water is 2:1. If the ratio of milk and water is to be 1:2, the water to be added is. So it's a mixture related questions. Such a type of mixture related questions, what you have to keep in your mind? You have to keep a mantra or trick for similar type of question. So here the mantra is very simple, that is equate the quantities of non-varying component. So you have to understand in such a situation which is a varying component and which is a non-varying component. Here we have milk and water. So what is the additional important thing here, whether it's milk or water? We are adding water. Therefore, which is the non-varying component in this case? So here milk is the non-varying component. So here we know that milk is the non-varying component. In this context, milk is the non-varying component. Then how we can connect it? Here it is given that this is a total of 180 liter. Out of this 180 liter, milk and water in the ratio 2:1. Now you are able to find out how we can split this 180 in this 2:1 ratio. 2 plus 1, what is 3? That is 3. 3 is representing 180. Then how many 3s will make this 180? That is 60 into 3. Therefore, you just consider this is 2 into 60, that is 120. This is 1 into 60, that is 20. So this is a way to split this milk and water as per this ratio. If you're facing any difficulties, what you can consider? Milk is 2/3 of 180 and water is 1/3 of 180. Got it? So what is the logic? 2:1 ratio. So like this way, we can find out this one. Then after that, our new ratio, we just consider our new ratio. So what happened this one? This is same as 120. This is same as 120. But this is something. We are adding some water there. So you have to consider this should be in the ratio. The new ratio is 1:2. 1:2. Think about the relationship here. As per this new ratio, this 1 is representing 120. 1 is representing the same quantity of milk. That was the initial quantity of milk. That's why I mentioned the point that equate the quantity of non-varying component. What was the quantity of milk initially? Then even the final situation also the quantity of milk is same. That's also 120. Here, 2 is representing how much? As 1 is representing 120, this 2 is representing twice of 120, which is equal to 240. Twice of 120, which is equal to 240. If 60 plus x equal to 240, we can find out what is the value of x. So that is equal to 240 minus 60. So what is the value here? That is equal to 180 liter. So therefore the answer is this additionally poured water required for this kind of a variation is 180 liter. This is the answer. Understand, it's a very simple approaching style towards this question. We know that there are lots of algebraic kind of approaches are possible, but this is the most easiest approaching style towards such a question. Population of a country increased by 1/10 and then decreased by 1/10 in 2 successive years. If the original population was 15,000, what would be the population after 2 years? These 2 successive years, what will happen? So initially, the population was 15,000. So what happened? It's increased by 1/10. It's increased by 1/10. 1/10 increase. What is 1/10 of this value? That is 1,500. Just add up together. It's become 16,500. Then it's decreased by 1/10. Now it is decreased by 1/10. So what is 1/10 of this value? This is 1650. You just simply find out 16,500 minus 1650. What will be the value? That is 50. This is 8. This is 4. So the answer is 14850. This is 14850. Got it? So the answer is option 3. This is the easy and simplest way to reach the conclusion. But there are some more smartest way to reach the conclusion of such a question easily. So we can check what is the logical or interesting method for reach the conclusion. Here, it's increased by 1/10. First increased by 1/10. Then successively decreased by 1/10. What is the corresponding percentage of 1/10? So corresponding percentage of 1/10 means 10%. It's simply 10% increase, then successively 10% decrease. So keep that result in your mind. It's part of successive variation. If a quantity first increased by 10%, then again successively decreased by 10%. Or in general, if a quantity increased by R%, then successively decreased by R%, then the net effect is R square by 100% decrease. If a quantity increased by R%, then successively decreased by R%, then the net percentage of variation is always R square by 100%. So it's a very important and useful result. You can expect the questions based on this result. So here this question is very simple. It's based on this concept. Suppose we just consider if it's increased by 10%, then successively decreased by 10%. What will be the net effect? So this is 10 square by 100% decrease. So 10 square, that it means 100%, 100 by 100, that is 1% decrease. So therefore, we can directly apply this result. It is given that the total quantity as total population as 15,000 minus what is 1% of 15,000? 1% of 15,000, that is simply 150. So you have to subtract this 150 from 1,500. So that's 15,000. That's equal to 0, 5. This is 8, 4, 1. So we got the answer, that is 14,850. So keep that result in your mind. That's very important. You may get lots of questions based on that result. Now the next question. A sum of money divided among A, B, C such that for each rupee that A gets, B gets 65 paise and C gets 35 paise. If C's share is 560, the sum is total value we have to find out. So it's a ratio-wise approach. We just consider the ratio of the amount distribution among A, B, and C. When A get 1 rupee is same as 100 paise because rest two quantities are given in the form of paise, that's why. B gets 65 paise and C gets 35 paise. If you are simplifying these values, 100, 65 and 35, we know that all these three values are multiples of 5. So this is 20, this is 13, this is 7. So this is the distribution. So as per this distribution, what will be the total here? Sum of these values, 20 plus 13 plus 7. 20 plus 13 plus 7. So that is 40. Correct? So now we can connect it. It is given that C got 560. C got rupees 560. Then we have to find out what will be the total amount here. What is the total here? That is 40. So you just observe this one. 7 into how much will make this 560? So we know that 7 into 80. 7 into 80 is equal to 56. Therefore, 7 into 80. Therefore, this is 40 into 80. We just consider 4 into 8, 32. 40 into 80, put 2 zeros here. So the answer is ready. This is equal to 3,200. So that's a ratio-wise approach. Understand the approaching style of this ratio kind of approaching style. We can do the operations like this in the form of unitary method. And these final steps of operations are very important. Instead of doing too much lengthy calculation steps, you can consider the 7 is representing 560. Then what kind of a multiplication performed there? Here 7 into 80 will be equal to 560. The similar way 40 into 80, that will be the final answer. That's a question from time and work. You have to learn the basic LCM kind of approaches of time and work problems. Based on that idea, you can reach the conclusion of this type of tricky questions. Here, A and B do a piece of work in 40 days respectively. They begin together. After A leaves after some days and B completes the remaining work in 23 days. For how many did A work? How many days did A work? Here, first of all, what you have to do while doing these types of operations, you have to frame a basic idea of the situation. Usually, A can complete the work in 45 days and B can complete it in 40 days. 40 days. So you just think about what is the LCM of 45 and 40. What is the LCM of 45 and 40? What is the LCM of 45 and 40? So LCM of 45 and 40. So that is 360. Correct? That is 360. So I am keeping the quantity of work as 360. Quantity of work as 360. Means you have to visualize the situation. This A and B, we gave a task to them that for binding books. Binding 360 books. For the completion of this task, if A alone is working, A alone required 45 days. So if A alone can complete 360 books binding in 45 days, so what is the rate of A's work? That means A can cover how many books per day? That means 8 books per day. That is the rate of the work of A. That is how we can reach the conclusion. That is simply 360 by 45. That will be equal to 8. In the similar way, B can finish the work of this 360 books binding in 40 days. Then per day, how many books B can bind? So that is 9 books. So this is the basic illustration for these types of all the questions. From this concepts, you can develop the idea of the question. So what it is given, they begin together after a certain number of days A left. Suppose if they begin together in the sense A and B started the work for n days, then after that A left, then B only working for remaining 23 days. So this is the situation. Hence the work entirely finished. What is the total quantity of work? 360. We have to find out for how many did A work. So we have to find out the value of n here. So what do you want to do? Instead of this A and B, we just put the number of or the rate of work of these two persons here. So this is 8 plus 9 into n plus B in the sense that is 9 into 23. So that is 360. This is 17n is equal to 360 minus 9 into 23. So that's equal to 120 plus 27, 207. Correct. So what is this value? This is equal to, what will be the difference between these two quantities? This is 17n is equal to 3. This is 5. Correct. So then 153. Then what about the value of n? Therefore, n is equal to 153 by 17. So that is equal to 9. So we need to find out for how many days did A work. So A worked for 9 days. A worked for 9 days. The answer is 9 days. Clear? So that's a tricky approach towards these types of questions. Before that, you have to make a basic idea of the situation like this. That's a very important point. From that basic structure, only you can develop the concepts like this. So whenever we are considering the further set of questions, also we can apply the same logic. Consider this question. ABC can do a job in 11, 20, and 55 days. So first of all, you have to frame the situation like this. A, so that is 11 days. B, so 20 days. And C, so that is 55 days. So you have to think about what is the LCM of 11, 20, and 55. How to find the LCM here? LCM of 11, 20, and 55. We know that there is not any common factor for these three numbers. Therefore, here we are dividing this 11 and 55 by 11. So this is 1. 20 right in that form itself. This is 5. Again, this 20 and 5, they have a common factor 5. Therefore, 1 in that form itself. This is 4. This is 1. Finish. There is not any further division possible because there is not any two numbers, even two numbers, they don't have any common factor. Just stop the operations here. Just multiply them together. This is 11 into 5 into 4. So that is equal to 220. This is the LCM of 11, 20, and 55. Therefore, the total quantity of work that we assumed as 220. We assume the situation like this. So this is the 220 books they have to bind. And they individually required. A required 11 days for the completion of this work. If A required 11 days for the completion of this work, what is the efficiency of A? That means 11 into 20. That will be equal to 220. Or we just divide this 220 by 11. Then we will get that's the efficiency rate of the work of A. Which means A can bind 20 books per day. Similarly, B can bind 11 books per day. And while we are considering C can bind 4 books per day. So this is a distribution. Again, it's a tricky question. It is given that they are working in alternate turns. That means A assisting B, that's first day, then same A assisting C at the second day, and so on. It will be in a turn like this. So therefore, if you are considering the combined efficiency of A and B, their combined efficiency, if A and B are working together, they can finish 31 units of work per day. Instead, if A is assisting with C, So they can finish 20 plus 4, 24 works per day. So how this work will develop here? So day by day activity we just consider. So day 1. So day 1. Here who will work for day 1? This A and B. They can finish 31 books. Day 2. Here this will be A and C. They can finish 24. Day 3. Again A and B. Day 4. Again A and C. And so on. In how many days this will be equal to the total number of books, that is 220. How it is possible? Here we just consider, if you are considering taking these 2 days together, so this will be equal to 55. Means in each 2 day, there they can finish 55 books binding process. So how many 55s will make this 220? We know that when we divide this 220 by 55, so this is equal to 4. So what it means? So here 4 pairs of days required. 4 pairs of days required. Therefore 4 pairs of days required means in 8 days they can finish the work. So how we can connect that concepts in a logical way? So here, while we are considering their combined work, they together can finish 55 units of work. For getting the number of days, you just consider total quantity of work as 220. We divide that by this combined efficiency. Here we know that 4 times of 55 will make this 220. So therefore take this 4. Therefore the required number of days. Required number of days. So that is that 4. That 4 means in each 2 day they can finish 55 works. Such 4 times of 55, therefore 4 into 2, 8 days required. For the completion of this work, they required 8 days. For the completion of this work, they required 8 days. So this is the logical approach towards this question. It's a tricky question based on this alternative approaching styles or the job completion styles. You have to learn this LCM type of illustration at first. That's very important. Then after that only you can frame such a relationship between the concepts here. It's a quite familiar algebraic question. So here x square plus 1 by x square equal to 79. Then find x plus 1 by x. Maybe at the initial time, you may take a little more time for finding the answer of such a question through the expansion of the concepts here, through the identity-based approach. But once you're familiar with the concepts, it's a 1 second question. It's a 1 second question. So if you need to find out what is x plus 1 by x from such a question, you can directly reach, this is simply 79 plus 2 the whole root, finished. Got it? That is simply 79 plus 2 the whole root. What is 79 plus 2? That is 81. 81 root, what it is? 9. So that's a simple logic. So this way we can catch the answer. Then I will explain what is the logic here. Here x square plus 1 by x square plus 1 by x square is equal to 79. Good. So we know that this x square plus 1 by x square, we can derive it from x plus 1 by x the whole square. What is x plus 1 by x the whole square? That is x square plus 1 by x square plus 2 times of x into 1 by x. What it will become? This is equal to this one. Therefore, from this one, we can reach the conclusion. We have this x square plus 1 by x square is 79 plus 2. Got it? So that's why I mentioned the earlier 1 plus 2. So that is x plus 1 by x the whole square, that's equal to 81. So x plus 1 by x the whole square, that is 79 plus 2, that is equal to 81. Therefore, what will be the value of x plus 1 by x? X plus 1 by x. So we know that the root of 81 equal to 9. So therefore, this is plus or minus 9. Because it's a quadratic expression, x plus 1 by x, the whole square. It have two roots. Therefore, we are considering the positive and negative roots of that value. That's equal to plus or minus 9. The next question, x minus 6 for x plus 3 equal to 0. Then the possible values of 2x are. It is given that x minus 6 and 4x plus 3 equal to 0. So we can directly apply the zero equating method for finding the answer for similar type of question. You don't want to make it as a complicated thing. So if we have two factors, the product equal to 0, what we can say, either x minus 6 equal to 0 or 4x plus 3 equal to 0. Got it? So then x equal to 6 or x equal to minus 3 by 4. So we have two values for x equal to 6 or x equal to minus 3 by 4. If we will get these two values, then we have to find out what is the value of 2x. 2x. So what is the value of 2x? If it is x, then this is 2 into 6 or this is 2 into minus 3 by 4. Therefore, this value is 12 or minus 3 by 2. So which is the option here? So we can take this one. There is a minus missing in the given option. So as per the given options, this is only the possible one. Don't forget, here this is minus 3 by 2. That is minus 3 by 2. Got it? So like that we have to consider that is 12 or minus 3 by 2. This process is zero equating method. Understand that method. Next one, sum of the series 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 25 plus etc. up to 100. Do you know what's the specialty of the series? Any specialty there? 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 25. What's the specialty of these numbers? These all are perfect squares. These all are perfect squares. So here we need to find out this is 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, etc. up to 100 is 10 square. We are going to find out what is the sum. Actually, it's a manageable range, right? If you are simply writing all the squares, first 10 squares, then add up together, you will get the answer. So the students who didn't use such a chance, you can think about such a possibility in your further type of approaches. Maybe it's a time-consuming type of approach. Suppose you forgot the result for finding the answer of such a question or the sum of the squares. At that time, you can at least apply this method for finding the answer. Got it? Anyway, what is the way to find out the sum of first and natural squares? Here, 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, etc. up to n square. So the result is n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 whole divided by 6. So don't forget, in this set of question itself, we learned the sum of first n even natural numbers. At the same time, what you have to do in your preparation, you have to include these summation results. Sum of first and natural numbers, sum of first and odd natural numbers, sum of first and even natural numbers, sum of first and squares, natural squares, odd natural squares, even natural squares, even cube, sum of first n natural cubes. That means 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube, etc. n cube. They are the classifications like odd natural cubes, even natural cubes. Like that, you have to practice it well. So whenever we are seriously involved in the preparation, what you have to consider whenever you will get the question is a totally strange concepts conveying question. So you have to consider that as an objectivity. That means, so that's an indication. You just know down what's the concept discussed behind such a question. And it's your responsibility to learn or understand that concepts properly. So like that, we can improve our knowledge. So applying this result. So here, this is 1 square 2 square, 3 square, etc. n square. So instead of n, here we have 10 square. Here the very important understanding, don't use n as 100 here, because n square equal to 100. So we have to find out what is the root of that 100. So sometimes students may make such a mistake. So they may misinterpret that n equal to 100. So here you have to consider which value square will be equal to 100. So that n equal to 10. So apply that result here. N into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 divided by 6. So simplify this one here. We know that this is 5 times of 2. This is 3 times of 2. Again, here this is 7. So this is 35 into 11. 35 into 11. It is easy to multiply any number by 11. What you have to do? First you just write this 5. Then next step, add this 3 and 5. 3 and 5, that is 8. Then write this leftmost digit, that is 385. So the answer is option 2, that is 385. So this is a way of simplification, right? So understand or keep that result in your mind. That is the sum of first and natural squares. The angles of a quadrilateral are in the ratio 2:4:5:7, with the smallest angle. What is the important prerequisites for solving this question? That's the basic understanding. It's about the quadrilateral. What is the sum of all the internal angles of any quadrilateral? Sum of all internal angles of any quadrilateral. What is the sum of all the internal angles of any quadrilateral? A quadrilateral have 4 sides. Quadrilateral has 4 sides. Therefore, that is 360 degree. We know that a triangle has its total sum of internal angles that's equal to 180 degree. In the case of quadrilateral, that is 360 degree. And it is given that the angles distributed in the ratio 2:4:5:7. Angles are distributed in the ratio 2:4:5:7. Means this total 360 degree distributed in this ratio. We have to find out the smallest angle. Smallest angle. Consider if a sum will be distributed among 4 persons in this ratio, which will be the smallest value. This is 2 out of the sum of these all values. Sum of these all values 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 7 of the total angle. That's a simple logic here. So this is simply 2 by. While we are adding these all values, what it will become? 2 plus 4, 6 plus 5, 11 plus 7, 18 of 360. So while simplifying this one, this is 20. What is 2 into 20? That's equal to 40 degree. So this answer. So 40 degree, that's the answer here. So here we have a basic geometrical understanding about the total internal angle sum. Then after that, another one concept, that's the concept of ratio-wise distribution here. That is 2, 4, 5, 7, like that. So from there, you have to find out how we can find out the given part by using that ratio-wise approach, finding the answer of such a question. Next, it's a very simple question from the area trigonometry. So here, that's the question related to ratio values. So for solving these types of question, you have to recall the ratio values there. Standard ratio values, now we are quite familiar. The case of sine ratio, suppose we just consider standard angles like 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, then 60 degree, and 90 degree. These are the standard angles. So if you are considering the sine value, so what is the ratios here? Sine 0, we know that that's equal to 0. Sine 30, what will be the value here? For recalling the values here, what you have to consider? Sine 30, that is equal to 1 by 2. This is 1 by root 2. What about sine 60, that is root 3 by 2. And the last one, sine 90. So that's equal to 1. These are sine values. For remembering these values or remembering these values easily, what you can do, I just give you a simple trick. You just consider, instead of these 0, 30, 45, 60, 90 degree, put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 as the values. Simply you just put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just divide all these values by 4. This is 0 by 4, 1 by 4, 2 by 4, 3 by 4. This is 4 by 4. Take the root of these values. Take the root of these values. These are the sine ratio values. Just look at here. 0 by 0, 0 by 4. What will be the value? 0. Its root is 0. 1 by 4, its root is 1 by 2. 2 by 4, that is same as root of 1 by 2. Root of 1 by 2, that is 1 by root 2. Root of 3 by 4, that's root 3. By this denominator will become positive 2. 4 by 4, 1. So this is the ratio of sine. So therefore, we can find out its cos version, cos ratio. You have to consider it's in the reverse order. So that's very simple. So you have to start from last one. This is 1. So then root 3 by 2. Then 1 by root 2. Then this one, that is 1 by 2. And the last one, 0. So just observe, for the sine and cos, but these 45 degree values are same. And finally, we have to consider tan ratio values. We know that tan is nothing but sine by cos. Sine by cos. Therefore, we have to divide this first value by second value. 0 by 1, that's equal to 0. 1 by 2 by root 3 by 2, that is 1 by root 3. So both the values are same, therefore this is 1. This is root 3. Therefore, this is 1 by 0, that is not defined. Got it? Not defined. So like this way, we can consider this table of ratio values. With the help of this table of ratio values, we can easily conclude for this question, which are the required quantities, this is 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2. We are using this result for finding the answer of our given question. So keep it in your mind, this ratio distribution of the table of ratio values. Here, sine 45 and cos 45. Sine 45 degree into cos 45 degree. We already found that sine 45, that is 1 by root 2, and cos 45, that's another 1 by root 2. This is equal to 1 by root 2 into root 2, that is 1 by 2. So this is the answer. This is ratio values approach, and it's easy to find the answer with the help of this ratio values approach. These all are very basic type questions. The students who are facing difficulties in basic trigonometry questions, just put your effort for these basic types of understanding. Then from there you can find the answer. Look at this question. By using the knowledge which we learned as part of the earlier question, we already discussed the table of ratio values. With the help of that table of ratio values, you can find the answer of this question easily. Here, you have to consider another one very important understanding. Suppose we just consider sine square 45. What it means? It means this is sine 45 the whole square. Got it? This is sine 45 the whole square. So this function we are writing like this. Sine 45 the whole square is same as sine square 45. And we know that what is sine 45? Sine 45 is 1 by root 2, the whole square. So that is 1 by 2. Keep that point in your mind. So this way we are doing or converting these all values. So here we can do it. So that is sine square 45 degree plus sine square 30 degree, then sine square 60 degree, and finally sine square 90 degree. Thus we are going to find out what is sine square 45 degree. The sine 45 is 1 by root 2 the whole square, and sine 30 that is 1 by 2 the whole square, sine 60 that is root 3 by 2 the whole square, and sine 90 that is 1 the whole square. So just simplifying this one, this is 1 by 2, this is 1 by 4, this is 3 by 4, and finally 1. So instead of doing this common denominator kind of approach, LCM type of approach, you can do it by mind by using 1 by 4 and 3 by 4. What will be the sum? 1 by 4 and 3 by 4, that is equal to 1. Plus another one, 2. Plus half, that is 2.5. You can do it by mind like that, instead of doing the common approaching style that is equal to 2.5. So that's a simple practical kind of approach. We know that this is 1/4 and 3/4. The sum will be equal to 1. And this is another one, 1 plus 1, 2. Then 1 by 2, that is 0.5. That's equal to 2.5. So this is the answer, 2.5. So now consider the next question. A heap of coconuts is divided into groups 2, 3, 5, and each time one coconut is left out. The least number of coconuts in the heap. So that's a simple, tricky logic. When we consider the number of coconuts, so we can be divided it into the groups of 2, 3, 4 each time there is one coconut left. So what is the least such number of coconuts? So least such number of coconuts in the sense, when we remove one from that heap of coconuts, the remaining quantity should be divisible by 2, 3, or 5. Got it? So when we are considering this one, suppose the number of coconuts. So number of coconuts. Number of coconuts we are assuming as x. Therefore, x minus 1 is divisible by 2, 3, or 5. Got it? So that means, what is the nature of this x minus 1? So this x minus 1, which is such least number that is a multiple of 3, 2, 3, or 5. So that has an LCM of 2, 3, or 5. That's very simple. We are considering which will be the least such multiples of 2, 3, and 5. 2, 3, and 5. So that is the LCM of this 2, 3, and 5. Here, instead of or, you can put that as 2, 3, and 5. Got it? So here, the number x is nothing but least such number, that is LCM of 2, 3, and 5. Then put this plus 1. Got it? So what is 2, 3, and 5? What is LCM of 2, 3, and 5? So here we know that 2, 3, and 5 are three prime numbers. They don't have any common factor, hence their LCM is nothing but their product itself. So what is the product of these three values? That is 30. This is 30 plus 1, which is equal to 31. So the answer least such number, that's equal to 31, and the answer is option 1. Now move to the final question of this set. The smallest number among the following. So while we are considering the smallest number here, the first one, that has 7 cube. Second one, that has 8.5 the whole cube. Third one, 4 raised to 4. The last one, 6 raised to 5, the whole raised to 3 by 5. So just apply the exponential rule. Which exponential rule? A raised to m, the whole raised to n, that is a raised to m into n. Applying that rule, this is 6 raised to 5 into 3 by 5, that is same as 6 cube. While considering these three numbers, 7 cube, 8.5 cube, 6 cube. So we know that we are going to find out which is the smallest among them. While considering these three numbers, which is smallest. Here we know that this is 7 cube, this is 8.5 cube, this is 6 cube. Here we know that 6 cube is least among them. Then 7 cube, then after that the largest one is 8.5 cube. Therefore here we are sure the 7 cube and 8.5 cube are not the least among them. Then we have to consider rest two numbers, because here the exponent is totally different. How it's possible to make a conclusion about the comparison of these three quantities? Here the exponents are same. Then based on the base values we can make the conclusion here this base is lesser than the rest all base values. Therefore 6 cube is lesser among these values. No doubt, the 6 cube is least among these values. Now we have to compare this 4:4 and 6 cube. So what is the value of 4:4? This is 4:4. That is 4 into 4 into 4 into 4. So that is nothing but 256. In the similar way, what about 6 cube? What is 6 cube? 6 cube is 6 into 6 into 6, that is 260. So consider these two values. Out of these two values, which is least? Here we got 6 cube is less than 4:4. 6 cube is less than 4:4. Therefore, which is the least among these all values? So here the least or the smallest value is 6⁵, the whole raised to 3/5. So these are the 25 questions you faced in your test, JEE test. So you got a basic idea about the importance of various topics which we are required to cover, and the importance of practice. Because once you are create a proper practicing structure based on the concepts which you learned, then only you can easily find the answer of the questions in a smart and quick way at the time of your exam. And we know that if you are well aware about the concepts and its various types of approaching styles, definitely we can find the answer in a quick manner within seconds. So you don't want to waste your time for finding the answer for most of the questions. And without doing too much calculations, you can find the answer. But not all the questions we can solve through mere tricky or the logical type of approach. Some questions it's required the basic fundamental knowledge. So not only some questions, almost all the questions, if we are considering a question that we can tackle through some logical method, but you have to create a strong foundation of concepts based on that particular context. Then otherwise, it's not possible to approach those questions in a logical way. So you have to practice it well. Right now, we can wind up. Thank you.